Hello everyone, my name is Bushara. I'm an assistant professor in PG Department of Economics, Safa College of Arts and Science, Shoukkath. Welcome to my class. Today, I'm going to discuss the topic Price Elasticity of Demand. And before we discuss the price elasticity of demand, let's see what is elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a product to changes in its price, income of the consumer, or prices of other goods. That is the elasticity of demand. Now, let's come to the point, price elasticity of demand. What is price elasticity of demand? Price elasticity of demand measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a product to a change in its price. That is, when price changes, how extent the quantity of demanded changes. That measure is known as price elasticity of demand. And it is also defined as the ratio of proportionate change in quantity demanded to a proportionate change in its price. Okay, that is the price elasticity of demand. And now let's see the formula for measuring price elasticity of demand. What is the formula for measuring price elasticity of demand? It is a ratio. Elasticity is a ratio, and it is the ratio of proportionate change in quantity demanded divided by proportionate change in its price of the commodity. That is the formula for measuring price elasticity of demand. That is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price of the product. That is the formula for measuring price elasticity of demand. Now, let's see what are the different types of price elasticity of demand, or the degrees of price elasticity of demand. Or there are 5 types of price elasticity of demand. They are perfectly elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, relatively elastic demand, relatively inelastic demand, and unitary elastic demand. Now, let's analyze each one by one. And the first one is perfectly elastic demand. Demand is said to be perfectly elastic when a small change in price leads to an infinite change in the quantity demanded of a commodity. That is, when price rises a little, demand falls to 0. Or when the price is decreased, then demand increases to infinity. Then in this situation is called perfectly elastic demand. Demand is perfectly elastic to a change in its price. In this case, the shape of the demand curve will be a horizontal straight line to x-axis, and the value of elasticity will be infinity. That is the perfectly elastic demand. A small change in price leads to an infinite change in quantity demanded. Then the demand is said to be perfectly elastic. Okay. Then the second one is perfectly inelastic demand. What is perfectly inelastic demand? Demand is perfectly inelastic when a change in price do not have any effect on the quantity demanded of the product. When price changes, it do not affect the quantity demanded of that commodity. In this case, demand curve will be a vertical straight line and the value of elasticity will be 0. There is when change in price do not affect the quantity demanded of the particular product. Demand curve will be a vertical straight line and the value of elasticity will be 0. In this case, we can say that demand is perfectly inelastic. Okay, and the third case is, or the third type of elasticity is relatively elastic demand. Let's see what is relatively elastic demand. Demand is said to be relatively elastic when a percentage change in price leads to a more than percentage change in the quantity demanded. If the price of a product changes to 10%, the quantity demanded of that commodity changes to 15%. In this case, we can say that demand is relatively elastic. Change in quantity demanded is more than the change in price. Okay, in this case, demand curve is relatively elastic or flat demand curve, and the value of elasticity will be more than 1. That is the case of relatively elastic demand. Okay, now the fourth type of degree or type of elasticity, price elasticity, is relatively inelastic demand. Let's see what is a relatively inelastic demand. Demand is said to be relatively inelastic when a proportionate change in price of the product leads to a less than proportionate change in the quantity demanded of that product. If price changes to 10%, the quantity demanded of that product changes only to, if the price changes to 10%, the quantity demanded of that commodity changes only to 5%. In this case, the change in quantity demanded is less than the change in price. In this case, demand is relatively inelastic, and the shape of the demand curve will be a steep curve, and the value of elasticity will be less than 1. This situation is, or in this case, we can say that demand is relatively inelastic. Okay, now the fifth case is unitary elastic demand or unit elastic demand. Demand is said to be unitary elastic when a proportionate change in the price of a product leads to an equal proportionate change in the quantity demanded of that product. For example, if price changes to 10%, quantity demanded also changes to 10%. That is, change in price is equal to change in quantity demanded. That is, change in the quantity demanded is equal to an equal proportionate change in price. Change in the quantity demanded of a commodity will be equal to the change in the price of the commodity. The demand, in this case, demand curve will be a rectangular hyperbola, and the value of elasticity will be equal to 1. That is the case of unitary elastic demand. These are the 5 degrees or types of price elasticity of demand. Now, what is the importance of this price elasticity of demand in economics? There are so many elasticity. The concept of elasticity is very important in different fields. In business, it helps the producers to fix the price of their product, or in taking the business decisions. Okay, elasticity helps the businessmen to take their so many business decisions. Government uses this elasticity, concept of elasticity, to formatting the tax policy of the government. Or this concept of elasticity is also used for fixing the rewards of the factors of production. And lastly, and another important use of the elasticity is for determining the terms of trade between two countries. These are some of the important uses of elasticity in economics. Okay, so this is all about the price elasticity of demand. We have seen what is elasticity of demand, what is some formula for measuring price elasticity of demand, and the different types of price elasticity of demand, or 5 degrees of price elasticity of demand, and the importance of the concept of price elasticity of demand. That's all. Thank you.